again. The princess and I have been reunited. She came to visit me.
I am a good friend.
She's a great friend. She's the best friend. My best friend.
Yeah. None of you can steal me. You all know this month is Beauty and the Beast month because the 25th anniversary of the movie is this month, which we're so excited about because it is our favorite movie, which we've said at least 3 times by now. It's almost inevitable for us to talk about the live action version that's coming out in March, which I mentioned in my last video.
But we wanted to elaborate on it.
Really talk about what our thoughts are, basically. I think most of our thoughts on the live action version at this moment are coming from a very protective and apprehensive viewpoint, because this movie is our favorite.
Neither one of us are particularly like
ecstatic.
Ecstatic is a good word.
Yeah.
We're not planning to see it opening night, you know?
No, which is sad because it is one of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
And I want to go see it. I actually do want to know what everybody else thinks about it before I spend the money and the time to go see it.
I think we're definitely a little more open-minded to it now that they've released that first feature.
Yeah, I think so.
Bit.
I agree. Yeah. There was a rumor for a long time, as far as I can remember, that like Guillermo del Toro was going to direct it. And
we were super excited about that.
Yeah.
We love Guillermo.
Yeah.
Like, he's great. He's so creative. We thought he would have brought something really interesting and dark to it.
Mm-hmm.
Would have really liked to have seen him bring some diversity to it because that's kind of a thing with him.
Yeah. It's not that I don't like Emma Watson. I totally appreciate her for, you know, the work that she's done with Harry Potter. And I really have nothing against her personally, but I was really hoping with this project that Disney would take it upon themselves to hire or cast somebody to play Belle specifically that was unknown but super talented, maybe fresh out of Juilliard or something.
We were really hoping for more diversity in the cast, quite frankly.
Yeah, I really just wanted Disney to hire somebody that they could then be proud to say that, like, we started this person's career.
Especially because Disney has such clout, you know? Like, I mean, they did it with Moana.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
they totally did. I think that specifically has to do with Clements and Musker knowing that they're aware of what the Disney fandom is saying. They have to be. They have to be aware that there are people like you and me talking about how Disney needs more, not only diverse characters, but diverse actors to play those characters.
I do give Musker and Clements credit for actively making stories with people of color in them. For all of their shortcomings, I mean, they definitely need more people of color in their actual staff.
Yeah.
And on their actual teams. But I mean, they try at least.
Yeah. They're
Who
doing
else
more
is?
work than, like, as much as I love John Lasseter, Musker and Clements are doing more work for diversity than Lasseter is. And I understand that Lasseter isn't the one making the movies anymore. He's just a producer mostly. But that doesn't mean that he can't be producing the movies about people of color.
Yeah.
Another part of the cast that I have been very, very apprehensive about, and apprehensive isn't even the right word, is Dan Stevens specifically. The only thing that I have seen him in is Night at the Museum, the very last one.
Is he in that vampire show you watch?
No.
Oh. He just looks so much like the other white blonde boys. I'm sorry.
I mean, they do kind of all look alike, but he's not in the Vampire Diaries. He played Lancelot, who was a wax figure in whatever museum they were in. And it's really weird. And Lancelot's character is just all over the place, and I really hated him. I don't want to hold it against Dan Stevens, but I have no other basis to judge him on.
Yeah.
And I'm not super excited for him to play the Beast, especially because I thought not only was this a good opportunity to make Belle a person of color, but the Beast as well. I understand that there is obviously a problem with cloaking people of color's skin in movies in Hollywood.
Yeah. And the implication of having the Beast be the only person of color. But that's not what we want. We wanted a more diverse cast all around.
But I also think that the character development of the Beast would have been worth it.
We were talking about it last night when we watched Beauty and the Beast, how the Beast's story is all about him rejecting typical toxic masculinity. It's about him rejecting aggressiveness and his temper and his tendency to be violent, and to learn humility and kindness and gentleness. It would have been so interesting because men of color are so vastly hyper masculinized, and they're also seen as literal animals. You know, know, and for him to have like that story of him like rejecting that narrative would have been so satisfying.
Yeah.
And like would have been a really great way of like undoing that, almost in a way, not undoing it, but like a step towards being like, this narrative that you're fed about men of color is wrong.
Yeah. Even though I know that it would have been really weird to get around this, but my fan cast for The Beast was Idris Elba.
He's a little old.
I am aware of that.
I mean, if they really had their heart set on someone from the Night in the Museum movies, couldn't they have gotten, isn't it King Tut?
Oh my god,
Couldn't
Rami
they have
Malek.
gotten him? He's beautiful.
Yes. Yes, he is, and he's Egyptian, so...
And he's very
he's
talented.
a twin. There are two of them.
But even still, I mean, I think it would have been really great to have like a dark-skinned man of color. Just because dark-skinned people of color don't get roles in movies that often anyway. Just
Especially
because
not
of
fairy tale
colorism.
movies.
No! Fairy tale movies really play up that whole like light and dark dichotomy of
Yeah.
good and evil.
And you can totally do that without it having to reflect in the character's skin color.
Yes! Exactly! The entire story is about things are not what they seem, and beauty is exterior. It only lasts for a certain amount of time. Like, and what is really important is what is underneath that. And it's sad that this movie that preaches about it doesn't matter what you look like is using almost an entirely white cast
Yeah.
of very, very beautiful people.
We're both really rather excited for Josh Gad, if nothing else.
Yeah,
Than
Josh Gad is like, God may have sculpted him
Yeah.
to look like LeFou.
Yeah, right? It's his type. We've talked about how this is Josh Gad's type of character. The goofy sidekick that just kind of gets tossed around sometimes. I mean, kind of excited about Luke Evans. Not like super, super excited.
Luke Evans is playing Gaston.
Yes. I don't think
Where do we know Luke Evans from?
I don't know.
The cast is so star-studded. Emma Watson alone, when they cast her, they didn't have to cast any other kind of celebrity. She was in one of the most successful film franchises of all time.
That's why I don't need Ewan McGregor, because he was too.
We don't need Ewan McGregor and Ian McKellen and Emma Thompson and Emma Watson. That's like 5 people that are outrageously famous. The trailer I had mixed feelings about. I liked the setting a lot. I loved the way they portrayed the castle. Ewan McGregor's voice, no.
Not about this French accent.
I think one of the reasons that they're making this live action adaptation is so that they can be more realistic and more, you know, they can bring a kind of almost like period drama kind of look to it.
Yeah.
Which I think is what they're going for.
And I'm here for that.
If that's what they're going for, I don't understand why they didn't get somebody who's actually French.
Yeah. I like Ewan McGregor. Not necessarily for this part.
I don't hate any of the people in this cast. I know nothing about Dan Stevens, except that he's a piece of white bread with some eyes on it. It's not.
You're not far off.
We were looking at the cast last night to see just how many white people are in the castle. Stanley Tucci's playing a character called Cadenza, which is it's a musical term. And then we clicked on the character page, and it goes to Forte, like from the Enchanted musical thing that we watched back in December. The creepy organ.
I don't think he's gonna be the villain. At least I hope he's not antagonistic. I also don't really understand how they're gonna fit so many characters into this movie. That's part of the downside of Suicide Squad, is that there's just so many characters.
I think that a lot of people are like, oh, well, they wanted to look more realistic, and that's why they cast white people. And I'm like, that's stupid.
France has plenty of people of color.
And who cares?
Yeah.
White people. White people care. Brandy and Whitney Houston's Cinderella, for all of its flaws.
I think that's the one and only time, or at least a very good example of like colorblind casting done without the connotations of colorblindness. You know? Where like they don't give an explanation for the fact
The
that
characters exist.
Yeah, that's it. They don't give an explanation for the fact that the queen, the black queen, and the white king have a Filipino son.
Yeah.
It
It's
generally
not a
doesn't
thing.
make sense, but it doesn't matter in the context of the movie.
Nothing has ever been done again like that movie.
No.
That's what we were hoping for.
Yeah.
We were hoping that this great story about how looks don't matter and it's about what's within would have taken a few more risks when it came to its cast.
Yeah.
I want more of things that are like Brandy and Whitney Houston Cinderella, because young people of color need that. They need to see that they can exist in stuff that doesn't rely on their own racialized suffering. They can be princesses and they can exist in fairy tales. They can have carefree, magical lives. Those are our final thoughts. I mean, will we see it? Yeah.
Probably.
After a few weeks.
I don't know if I'll wait that long because I'm impatient, but I'm planning to go anyway because while the music from the musical won't be in it, I still want to go and see what they do with the music that is in the movie. And I want to hear the new music. I'm genuinely excited about...
Alan Menken is making the music.
Yeah.
I am excited, but incredibly apprehensive and quite disappointed that Disney didn't take a more creative leap. They could have.
Like, if they just kept Emma Watson and had everybody else be whatever, like, white people would have been like, but Emma Watson.
Because Emma Watson is Hermione.
Yeah.
Like, she is...
important in our culture.
Yeah.
Now, I would actually kind of like to see Clements and Musker take on a live-action remake. Because Disney is apparently doing Little Mermaid. It's, like, apparently, like, a thing. Not excited for that either. But there's another time
That'll
to
be
talk
interesting.
about that.
Anyways.
So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to The Princess and the Scrivener, do so down below, especially if you'd like to keep watching our Beauty and the Beast month videos, as well as other videos on Disney, feminism, pop culture critiques, and more.
Leave a comment below with your thoughts about the casting, if there's anything that you're disappointed in about the live action movie, and if you're really looking forward to it, that's fine. We promise that we're okay with that. One of us will see you next week.
I dream it, I grind till I own it.
I twirl on them haters and ride on alligators.
He was in that Clint Eastwood movie about that racist guy that...
Gran Torino.
No.
How many are there?
And his son is in Suicide Squad. He has like negative 10 lines in the whole movie, but his son looks just like him, just much younger, and
hopefully less racist.
You know, you would hope. I don't have very high hopes for that though.